Good?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we need to get you up on that, list of television, 3, 2.
Okay. Well. Hearings.
Public hearing number 1, local law number 1 of the year 2024. A local law establishing a 6-month moratorium regarding programmable digital signs being enacted by the Village Board of the Village of Homer as follows. Section 1 title, establishing a 6-month moratorium on the submission and processing of applications for permits, variances, or land use approvals for programmable digital signs. Section 2 purpose, pursuant to the statutory powers vested in the Village Board of the Village of Homer to regulate and control land use and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of its residents, the Village Board hereby declares a 6-month moratorium on the submission and/or land use approvals for programmable digital signs. The Village Board is considering possible amendments to the code of the Village of Homer pertaining to programmable digital and similar signs. The Village Board finds that this moratorium will allow for a careful study of this issue, consideration of the concerns of residents and businesses, drafting proposed amendments in final form, holding a public hearing and any proposed amendments, and lawfully adopting and filing the amendments. Section 3 authority. This moratorium is enacted by the Village Board pursuant to its authority under the New York Constitution, Article 9, and New York State Municipal Home Rule Law, Section 10. Section 4, enactment of the 6-month moratorium. For a period of 6 months following the effective date of this local law, except as may be provided in Section 6 below, the following moratorium is enacted. No new applications for permits, variances, and/or land use approvals for programmable signs shall be accepted by the Village Board, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, or Code Enforcement Officer of the Village of Homer. And no submitted application for permits, variances, and/or land use approvals for programmable signs shall be accepted or processed by the Village Board, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, or Code Enforcement Officer of the Village of Homer. Section 5, term. The moratorium imposed by the local law shall be effective 6 months from the effective date of this local law. This moratorium may be extended by 1 additional period of up to 3 months by resolution of the Village Board upon finding of the necessity of such extension. Section 6, exception due to the extraordinary hardship. Village Board may authorize exceptions to the moratorium imposed by this local law upon finding that postponing the consideration of an application for a programmable digital sign would impose extraordinary hardship. An application for an exception shall be considered as follows. Submission of 10 copies of an application containing the applicant's arguments, including facts and evidence in support of the alleged extraordinary hardship, a copy of the application for the proposed programmable digital sign, and such other information and documentation deemed necessary by the Village Board to consider the application. The payment of a filing fee with the application. A public hearing on the extraordinary hardship application shall be held by the Village Board no later than 45 days after submission of a complete application and filing fee. In reviewing the application, the village may consider the following criteria. The extent to which the proposed application for a programmable digital sign would adversely impact the character of the surrounding neighborhood or be detrimental to public health and safety. Whether the moratorium will expose an applicant or property owner to substantial monetary liability to a third person or leave the applicant or property owner unable to use a reasonable alternative. Mere delay in the consideration of the application for a programmable digital sign is insufficient to constitute an extraordinary hardship. Upon concluding the public hearing and after the consideration of the application and evidence submitted, the Village Board shall, in its sole discretion, approve, deny, or approve in part and deny in part the application. Section 7, superseding of New York State Village Law. To the extent that any provision of this local law is in conflict or inconsistent with the provisions of New York State Village Law, this local law supersedes, amends, and takes precedence over New York State Village Law pursuant to the Village and Municipal Home Rule powers under New York State Municipal Home Rule Law, Section 10(1) II D3, 10(1) II A 14, and 22. Section 8, effect on other laws. To the extent that any law, ordinance, or rule or regulation and parts thereof, including any deadline for making decisions, interpretations, or determinations, is in conflict with the provision of this local law shall control, and such other laws are hereby superseded. Section 9, severability. Any clause, sentence, paragraph, section, or part of this local law shall be adjudicated by any court of competent jurisdiction to be invalid. Such judgment shall be confined in its operation to such clause, sentence, paragraph, section, or part thereof directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment shall have been rendered, and the remaining provisions shall remain in full force and effect. Section 10, seeker. This local law constitutes a type 2 action of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, inasmuch as it constitutes the adoption of a moratorium on land development or construction. As such, this project is not subject to review under the State Environmental Quality Act. Section 11, effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately upon its filing with the New York State Secretary of State.
All right, Victor.
First, of course, I'm in favor of the moratorium for now. You really need to find it. But so, first position is, if the majority of adult residents of the village of Homer advocate strongly for allowing LED and illuminated self-lit lights signs within the old Homer Village Historic District, the following regulations should be adopted. And so what I've done is taken the stuff I did at that last meeting and talked to a lot of people, and I have a few more things. Okay, I don't need to read them all, I can just pass them out, and we'll go on to the other one. But basically, it's the point of the restrictions are to make the new LED or whatever, there's other technologies too, the new lights look exactly like the existing ones with the plastic letters to every degree, but you can control them from indoors and change them, and will make life easier, more expensive, but easier. So here are,
Although, I mean, we could come up with something better looking than the plastic letters.
yeah, all I say is that they must be black on white. Obviously.
But something that looks-
Other things they do.
Yeah, I mean, they look nicer.
Not nice rules to hand out, but now here's a different perspective. This Victor kind of being a grumpy old man. So many people make positive comments about how beautiful Homer looks nowadays. No visitor ever strolls through historic downtown Homer and remarks, you know what this place needs? Big and bright LED billboards. Please don't turn our historic downtown Homer into an illuminated strip mall. Damaging our unique visual charm will hurt our appeal to future home buyers and business owners. The more I learn about LED signs, the stronger my opposition grows to allowing them in downtown Homer this time. One common argument I hear is that it's difficult to change the letters on current signs, especially in bad weather. While I agree that this is inconvenient, it's a minor issue compared to the major downsides of LED self-lit signs, which I'll detail below. If changing letters is a problem, we could create a volunteer group called the Sign Helpers. High school students needed community service hours, senior citizens who enjoy the outdoors, and other civic-minded citizens could sign up to assist. Once learned, changing the letters takes less time than people might think, and I'd be the first volunteer. During a demonstration of self-lit signs in the town hall parking lot, everyone agreed how inappropriate the current technology would be for downtown Homer. The blurry, garish, and overly bright letters are simply not ready for prime time. Beyond the visual issues, consider the hidden costs behind these signs. A computer and communications equipment we require to manage each sign. Computers and outdoor and electronics are prone to breakdowns, often costing more to repair or replace than expected. These expenses are rarely planned for in annual budgets. Power outages would render the signs useless without an expensive external power source. Staff trained to program the LED signs may leave, potentially leaving their replacements untrained. The overall cost of maintaining this technology is far higher than maintaining traditional signboards. And something I've said in the past, every new technology goes through a long development phase, and the sweet spot is reached when all the significant issues are resolved. Right now, the pixel pitch LED signs is too large for readability in a walking neighborhood. When perfected, the pixel pitch will work equally well for both walkers and drivers. Blah, 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 speak that. Oops. There's no need to rush into allowing digital signs. Let's wait until the technology is right. A little more you can just read. If, as I hope, self-lit signs are rejected, we should come together as a community to make the existing signs as attractive and functional as possible. Here are a few improvements that could be made. Upgrade the blurry signs at the high school and intermediate school to higher quality technology with a smaller pixel pitch. Fix the glitchy pixel panel on the Congregational Church sign. Raise funds for a new enclosure for the American Legion sign, and raise funds for a completely new sign for the fire department. Homer is walking a fine line. Preserving our historic character is critical to our village's future. This isn't the right time for this change, as it quickly erodes what makes Homer special. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Me,
Yep, go ahead.
I didn't really prepare comments. I also tried to do, something. We have to have LED signs. I have something for that, which I'm going to do. And most of the historic districts have a review panel for signs. As designer, and as also signs, and, member of the Landmark Society, would be willing to serve on such a term. There are historic sign review committees, and it helps to keep the historic movement, and I feel that, especially with the village seemingly ignoring the majority of people who do not want their signs on 281, fearing that it will encroach on the historic district eventually. I think we're losing our historic character of Homer and the great. I only have to give counting.
Please, can you please state your name for the record, please?
Stephanie Spear.
Thank you.
Okay, Vernon and then Bob.
Okay. He's my teacher, so he gets to go first.
I taught you, really?
Yeah.
Okay, what did I teach? I explained. So my name is Martin Sweeney. I'm the historian for the village and the town of Homer, and with regard to programmable digital signs in Homer's historic district, I feel the village is coming upon a values clarifying moment. As I taught my 8th graders, a value is anyone or anything that gives direction and meanings to life. A value can be a person or a thing. In this case, the thing in question is the historic district, created by the Landmark Society of Cortland County back in 1972, and for which the village now finds itself the steward. Does the community of Homer of 2024 value its historic district? To determine the answer to that requires answering the 7 tests of a value. I'll leave you a copy. There will not be a quiz at the end. Test number 1 of a value. Do we prize and cherish the historic district? That is, do we have a shared vision showing the historic district to be worth maintaining and preserving? Test number 2. Do we publicly stand up for it? That is, do we message others that our historic district is a meaningful part of our identity as a village? Test number 3. Do we choose it from alternatives? That is, have we seriously considered what may be of greater value to us than our historic district? Test number 4. Do we choose it freely? That is, do we accept our stewardship of the historic district without coercion of others? Test number 5. Do we consider the consequences? That is, do we understand the results of valuing or not valuing the historic district? Test number 6. Do we act upon it? That is, do our actions speak louder than our words? And is it clear to others that we give more than lip service when we profess to value our historic district? And finally, test number 7. Do we act upon it repeatedly and consistently? That is, are we not Charlie Brown wishy-washy about what we value? As I told my students, and they didn't like this, if the answer is no to any one of these 7 tests of a value, then we do not have the Homer Historic District as a value. That's something that gives direction and meaning to the life of our community. And we are no longer willing to be stewards of that which we have inherited. And we have no reason to believe future generations need to be stewards. We have 6 months to ponder this.
But the copies very nice.
Thank you.
Bob? Yeah. Thank you, folks.
I think I know most of you. I'm Robert Jackson, representative from the fire department. And Martin and Victor have hit most of the highlights, so I won't, it's kind of, I think that everybody's, that's on everybody's mind, I think, is preserving the historic district, you know, we don't want it to look like Las Vegas, that's for sure. I talked to Dan earlier, and I'm gonna put together a slideshow. I didn't know that was wasn't needed tonight. I think you're probably gonna have another meeting. And I have just an idea that Victor stated the fire department. I'm sure we'd share that with any other businesses that were down there or here. And I don't know, my thoughts is maybe two, and the businesses share it for local, like Magic on Main Street, Holiday and Homer, the things that is really sponsored by the village, and let the businesses put their advertisement for that event on there. One down there and one up here, and keep it very subtle. I think that's the main point. I don't think you want, you know, as they stated, the Las Vegas look. So I'm gonna put together something, and I'll work with Dan and Victor, and I think Martin, I think we're all on the same page as far as the nuts and bolts of it going, right? But thanks very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing to what Victor said. I don't necessarily agree that they should be black and white, because it's modern. If we need something, if we do have to go with the signs, we need something that looks more old fashioned.
Yeah, I agree. So the way we're looking now is it wouldn't be an LED sign, it would be an outdoor television. So the resolution would be as good as any television in your home. And the idea is that it would be, we would come up with a look that everyone kind of was okay with, and all organizations would use that, and they could change the message once an hour and dim it way down at dark.
Changing messages does increase traffic. It's research that shows that.
Yeah, I think one time an hour is probably not gonna cause a lot of accidents in the village, though. It's not like the one on 281 going, you know, into the city where it's changing every couple of
I can see
seconds.
like the Center for the Arts wanting to advertise who's performing there. But I can't see like Guthrie on their signs. People use their cell phones for information about where things are. They don't need billboards to tell them anymore. It's like outdated.
I don't know, what do you mean, Guthrie?
Guthrie has signs in Portland,
All over.
all over the place.
Oh, I didn't even notice them. So, yeah, I don't even notice them. No, like I said, this is why we're doing the moratorium, so that we can take more time. What I want to do is get one of these outdoor televisions for like a week and have it set up at one somewhere and let it run for a week and let people in the village come and see it. And then maybe we will do like a, you know, informal poll on the back of the water bill. You know, because that's probably the one way that we can make sure that people don't vote twice, and it's only people that are in the village that are voting.
So
Yes,
another question, right now, we have like 3 organizations asking for them on Main Street.
Yeah.
But if they get approved, what stops all the other not-for-profits on Main Street from wanting?
We would do like an overlay district of where they're allowed.
Okay, but I mean, so there's the recreation building that belongs to the village, there's the Brewster House, also a not-for-profit. The churches, three churches, the new Center for the Arts,
Yeah, and the overlay would limit where they could be.
Okay,
So we would have that as part of the overall ordinance when it came out. So we would take feedback on how large or small it would be. I think our general feeling right now is, smaller is better. So that would restrict the other ones outside of it.
how do you do that with the law? Just say you can have it, and you can't?
We outlined it in the law. It would be like 500 feet from X, Y, and Z. And then there's another diagram on a map that says where it's allowed.
Just like
The
so.
fire station
like
is
so.
very close to the American Legion, so you then say, 500 feet. And get to the Brewster House, you get to the library,
Well, I'm just using that as an example, and you can make that smaller.
okay,
What about proximity to residences? There should be no signs that are close enough to residences, like the Village Green, there's houses are around it. On one, on the side. Other buildings have residences, that are businesses,
Yeah.
or not profits. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Well, this is why I want to find out what people think, what all the residents think. So. Well, Bob had his hand up. And then-
Well, I think you're going back to kind of where I was going, and that's two signs. And you share the local, non-for-profits. And get on that, they go down the fire station, we got the PC, you come here in the village at this end. And, you've got the PC set up and you change it, and maybe it's the same template kind of.
Well,
I might
yeah,
as well get into it a little bit. I had pictures from the internet that I found of the village, the church, Main Street, and kind of fading in and out, very subtle. And then in between that, you have, say, if it's a Magic on Main Street, you allowed dashers to come up with their special, but only for that. The nonprofits, maybe anytime with a big time on it, like you were saying, it may be an hour. And that way you don't have what Mrs. Siegel is worried about, is the signs being so close to each other, you have one common sign. Of course, the village pays for it.
yeah, I know that there was some talk about the Legion and the fire department combining into one sign, which would be nice. The center is so active that they really require their own sign.
Yeah,
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And they're such an economic driver for the village, and they bring more people to the village than anything. So,
yeah.
But this is why we're doing the moratorium, so we have more time to look into it, because nobody on this board wants to do anything that harms the village. So, but we also have to be aware of the fact that, the signs that are there aren't exactly historic. They're just old. They're not historic.
They were old when we bought them.
Yeah, so, but anyway, that's, there'll be more to come on this, and, you guys will get plenty of notice before we do any actual voting. This is just for the moratorium.
Here.
Oh, Pierre, yes.
So there's technology starting and happening right now. Out in San Francisco, obviously the big boys, Google, Facebook, they own the patents on all this crap. Going back to the 40s and 50s, this all started because the mafia, Jewish mafia, figured out to put people in casinos and LED light, artificial dopamine, dark rooms, girls with breasts showing and dreams. They didn't have to rob the people with a gun, they robbed the people inside the casino. We're moving further and further down this road. 2013, Obama signed a law for more and more LED lights. Now, Biden, 2028, you're not supposed to even buy anything but an LED light. He also signed a law in 2000, Biden or Obama, this is in 2013, on brain initiative. So going back to the late 50s with Carlos Delgado at LSU, controlling people and animals' behavior, not with electric signals, but actually light signals through RPE, the eye, to make animals do things, people do things that they normally wouldn't have done. I'm a big believer in going the opposite direction. So this is what we use at home. We have typically between a 40 and a 60% lesser electric bill than our neighbors. 5-watt, old-fashioned Christmas tree bulbs, hallways, bathrooms, kitchen, go on at dark, go off when someone gets up in the morning or when the light comes out. They work great. We're all overlit right in this room. Walter Disney's light guy, a guy by the name of John Ott, figured this out back in the late 50s, early 60s. Health and Light, great book to read. There's more books written by a professor at, actually a doctor lawyer that trained in Syracuse, Andrew Marino, called Growing Somewhere. There's another book called, by Arthur Firstenberg called The Invisible Rainbow. And I've lived in New York City. I see what people's behavior is when they get into, you know, bright places that are out of control. I've been in Causeway Bay over in Hong Kong, same thing. It's lighter at midnight than it is at 12 noon. It's so partial. People actually are developing diseases because of all this stuff, and we're not being told about it. So there's actually technology being done. One company called Daylight Computer, Victor's seen it. It has actually red and orange and yellow light in it rather than just LED lights. And then there's Kindle type paper. Google's using that in their map technology in cities called Intersection. That's a lot healthier light for people to subject themselves to. So there's a lot to learn about it. And I think it's great that you've taken upon the board and your position now to have a moratorium, because there's things that we can learn. I was involved with a company up at SUNY Portland called Plaid Network, and we were using Kindle type paper and kind of reverse advertising. So in this room, group of mostly older people, we'd have advertising with a camera watching us, and we would gear the advertising to them. So things are really happening quickly. I have mixed emotions about having two centralized boards that had kind of a template, if you will, to put advertising in versus a lot of small boards. So that's up to the people in this room and all the constituents in the village to make a decision. I mean, I don't care to have an LED sign out in front of the town hall and the village hall, living 2 houses away.
Right. Well, there's,
Or Stephanie and Charlie living across the street.
yeah, no,
Or a historic house like the Jedediah Barber House across the street.
yeah, no, we're not talking about doing that, so,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you know.
yeah, I get it.
And my mother, along with Mary Lou Mason, Anna Hilton, our former mayor, Mary Alice, they were part of that 1972 group, and they got a lot of shit. Because I remember, I was a senior in high school. I remember hearing the shit they got from them. Oh, you're gonna tell us what color we can paint our house and blah, blah, blah. And Patrick lives in the house now, and he's still painting the house yellow because that was the color of the house. So they started something that's now 52 years forward. My mother wrote the check for the 1890 house from the money for from the McDowell Foundation. Mr. McJunkin put the money up for that. So they have a pretty strong legacy, and they were all on board members, library board, ran blood drives, 250 pints with all volunteers. It was a different time. And us high school kids had to set the automobiles up at the American Legion. Just to let you know, I think you're
Right.
going slowly is a good thing.
Yeah, that's our plan. It's
And hopefully the town follows your suit.
Town's going pretty slow.
Yeah, they got billboards all around town.
What, yeah,
Right.
the billboards that say no billboards. All right, so do we have a motion? Is there anyone else who would like to? Oh, we have a motion.
I make a motion that we enact local law number 1 of the year for 2024.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
All right, my discussion point is, this is not a solution, but we have to use this time constructively. That's my only discussion.
Yeah, we've got to get one of those test signs that just to see if it's a workable concept or not. Because I agree that the one that was in the parking lot, that demonstration, that was terrible.
Could that happen at Winterfest or something when there's a lot of people out and about?
Well, I mean, it could, that's not a bad idea.
Right, do it at Winterfest or the next big event that brings people, you know,
Yeah,
not till next June with the Fireman's Field.
Halloween.
yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it.
That's pushing
I
it.
wish. Yeah, but we'll figure it out. All right, no other discussion. Yeah,
Oh, wait. Yes?
yes. The school signs, now you're saying that you said that they were too big and too gaudy looking and.
I think they're
Right.
terrible. Yeah. They're hard to read. I don't know why, if they just pick cheap ones or what, but the pixel size on those is really large. I don't get it.
He
So,
wants to upgrade it, Stuart.
Right.
You missed that part, I think.
what,
You said you wanted to upgrade it.
the school signs?
Isn't that what I heard?
That's what I said.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I mean, the school issue is another
But I
issue.
can't see students
You said
going
it,
out
okay.
intermediate or high school putting letters on anything either.
We used to put buses up on the steps, so now what's the big deal putting some letters on the signs?
Kids have changed today, they don't wanna do.
I have a
So-
question.
Yes.
When you have the sample TV screen, would there be suggestions for like framing it so that it looks like something?
Oh, yeah,
That'll be-
yeah, that's absolutely part of our plan is it would have to be in like
Brick.
a
or
nice, yeah, a
something,
very
yeah.
nice enclosure that is in keeping with the area, yeah. That's an absolute, for sure. Yeah, wouldn't just be like a standalone or anything like that.
We have a motion, we have a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, okay. Man,
Public hearing number 2, local law number 2 of the year 2024. Local law establishing a stop intersection of the intersection of Sunset Drive and Hooker Avenue in the Village of Homer, deemed enacted by the Village Board of the Village of Homer as follows. Section 1, title, establishing a stop intersection at the intersection of Sunset Drive and Hooker Avenue in the Village of Homer. Section 2, statutory authority. This local law is being enacted by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Homer pursuant to its authority to adopt laws under the New York Constitution, the New York State Municipal Home Rule Law, and the New York State Village Law. Section 3, purpose and intent. The purpose and intent of this local law is to create a new stop intersection pursuant to Chapter 210-11 of the Code of the Village of Homer, New York, and to be added to Section 210-41, Schedule V111, stop intersection. The new stop intersection is as follows. Stop signs will be placed on Hooker Avenue at its intersection with Sunset Drive, traveling both in the north and south directions. Section 4, enactment of the stop intersection. This local law will add to Section 210-41 of the Code of Village of Homer, New York, a stop intersection as follows. Stop sign on Hooker Avenue, direction of travel north at the intersection of Sunset Drive. Stop sign on Hooker Avenue, direction of travel south at the intersection of Sunset Drive. Section 5, superseding of New York State Village Law. To the extent that any provision of this local law is in conflict or inconsistent with the provisions of New York State Village Law, this local law supersedes, amends, and takes precedent over the New York State Village Law pursuant to the Village Municipal Home Rule powers under New York State Municipal Home Rule Law, Section 10-1 II D3, 10-1 II A14, and 22. Effect on other laws. To the extent that any law, ordinance, rule, or regulation or parts thereof is in conflict with the provision of this local law shall control, and such other laws, ordinance, rule, or regulation are hereby superseded. Section 7, severability. Any clause, sentence, paragraph, section, or part of this local law shall be adjudicated by any court of competent jurisdiction to be invalid. Such judgment shall be confined in its operation to such clause, sentence, paragraph, section, or part thereof directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment shall have been rendered, and the remaining provisions shall remain in full force and effect. Section 8, effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately upon its filing with the New York State Secretary of State.
local law. Sure.
My name is Kim Allen. I live on Sixth. I've lived in the village for 10 years. I'm in favor of this stuff, and I'll tell you why. I decided because I was coming here today, I decided to drive down Hook Road and drive back. I've done it numerous times, but I wanted to do so a little bit more mindfully. It's a beautiful day. It's like you're in the country, the sun is shining, and I kept looking down and realized how hard it was to stay within 30 miles an hour. It's just, I had to really think about it. As I came into the village, crossed over to the village as if I was going to Homer, I passed by the house of a family that I've known for probably all my life. And I know that a few years ago, their cat was killed in front of their driveway on the road. And as I came close to their house, I thought, if something jumped out at me, would I be able to stop? And because I was doing 30 miles an hour, I felt like I had a pretty good chance of that happening. I'm also a walker. I walked my way through the pandemic, through this beautiful village, and Hooker Ave is one of my roads that I go down. And I met with people that are very familiar to me, but aren't people that I know. People that are walking their dogs, people with their strollers. And I realize it's not the country, it's a neighborhood. And I feel that, a stop sign or a speed jump or something that would make people stop and pause would make people more mindful drivers. I've encountered people as I'm walking that I think are coming down the slope or going up and they're going faster than they probably need to. And I think a stop sign would make people pause.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think, the railroad tracks used to slow people down. Way before they fixed them. You had to go slow over those, but, yeah. Anyone else like to speak on this? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we enact local law number 2 of the year 2024, establishing a stop intersection at the intersection of Sunset Drive and Hooker Avenue in the village of Homer.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I want to add, I'm gonna vote in support of this law. And I'll have to say, I live on the other side of the village, and as I've driven down Hooker Avenue, I don't recall ever seeing somebody going recklessly or speeding. But I have heard concerns from residents. We approach residents who live in that area to take their perspective into consideration, and we heard a majority say that a stop sign is a good idea, as did Miss Allen tonight. I am guided by the voices that I've heard from this community, which is why I'm voting yes.
You know, just so everybody knows that we've looked at different options there, whether sidewalks or widening of the, and just, those are all things that take time and money, and this is something that we can enact now to help.
We talked about speed bumps, but
Yeah.
it's not good for plows.
Yeah.
No.
I realize that.
At first I was opposed to it, because I traveled that road quite a bit, but the more I thought about it, this is a matter of health and safety for our village residents, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we take care of our residents. So I changed my mind and I'm all for it.
I live over on Copeland Avenue, and we added a stop sign to that road a few years ago, and I've seen a decrease in people driving really quickly down the road. I think it has an impact.
Can I add
Hey,
one
my
thing?
dad, sure.
Again, I walk there a lot, and what I notice is that, there are people who live in the residential area, of course, using that street. But what I also notice is that there are people who are just going straight down to Homer. So for them, it's a quick way to get to Homer from 281. And again, it's, you might not be cognizant or think about that you're actually traveling through a neighborhood. And there are people walking their dogs, people with their kids. And it's a whole different mindset, I think, when you're walking or you're driving down a residential area than if you're driving along a country road. So I think for some people, it's a country road, it's beautiful, it's one way to get from one place to another, but when it's a neighborhood, speed matters.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. All right, now on to the regular meeting.
And just in case, just to help Maureen with it, make sure everybody signed in.
All right. First up, minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 8th, 2024.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Authorized payment.
I think the motion was authorized for payment of the bills in the A fund vouchers number 123531300 in the amount of $78,057.37. And from the F and G fund vouchers number 394 through 414 in the amount of $70,970.05. And we have nothing from the TNA fund vouchers at this time. Nothing.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Privilege of the floor. Okay.
We do have, one of the things that I Justin had asked for earlier was, update on our treasurer, on our, move down the other way.
Yes, thank you.
Budget. Ed, this is, did you get a chance to email him?
I did.
Oh, okay.
It's also,
Did
on-
you get it?
it's also on my laptop. I can share the screen if you'd like. Go into that.
Ed, you got that?
No, I got it. It's great.
On the charts tomorrow.
Who is that crew?
Coming. See it a little larger. Wow.
Like Sam said, she'll have a graph chart, which will be easier for us to see overall.
I didn't see anything that was out of line initially, so, but I will look at it a lot closer over the next couple of days. But it looked like we're under control for 4.5 months to go. We should be around 66%, right? So I didn't see anything that was really glaring.
Really helpful way to put it together. Too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but this is only through, this is through June, Sam?
The end of June, yeah.
Okay, just so everybody knows, this is through the end of June.
That makes more sense.
Oh. Oh,
We're
I
still
thought,
catching up-
hmm,
We're still catching up on some of the other issues.
in that case, there may be a few issues because I was thinking September. Yeah, that's only what, 4 months. And a lot of things are 66% after 4 months, and that's not good. It should be in the 30s.
No, that's the percent that's remaining.
Yeah, that's the percent
That's the percent remaining, Ed.
Oh, remaining. Oh, geez, I thought that was how much you used. All right. Like I said, I got to look at it closer. Hey, thank you so much. This is helpful and this is great. So thank you.
Like to look at the revenues?
Revenues on the secondary. Thank you, Sam, for putting this together.
Oh, come on.
Well, I did see that Cortlandville's got a $12 million budget for 7,500 people, and ours is around 4.8 for 3,500. So I think we're doing a lot better per population when you divide them out. So I think Homer's doing pretty darn good compared to
Well,
them anyhow.
On top of that, Ed, we have a police department and a fire department.
Uh,
And
And a cemetery.
the cemetery, and Cortlandville has a fire district. So whatever they're paying on top for fire protection.
Oh, I understand, but we're doing pretty darn good, is all I'm saying to the
No,
Oh,
public.
yeah, we are.
What I'm saying is, I think we're doing even better.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to brag. I'm pretty happy with Homer. It's a great place to live.
All right. Next up, grants update.
Good bunch of managers.
You'd like to do the salt shed?
All right, we're gonna start with the salt shed. The salt shed is complete. They finished putting the plywood on the interior, they sealed it, and they have the first 152 tons of salt installed. So we're prepaid for I think the building can hold 500 tons. And we're set for 450. So it's already in there, and we're just expecting to load it. They worked very well. They have a 10-wheeler dump it right inside. So the extra large opening, it's looking really good. I think Phil just has to finish up some paperwork to get to Dan for how much that our guys contributed. And we should expect reimbursement probably first quarter of 2025.
I drove by there just the other day. I was impressed.
Yeah, no, we did,
Very nice.
came up good, glad that we went with that.
And the guys our DPW guys did a great job on some of the interior stuff and all the other training that they got for paving, leveling, surveying. It was a good experience for our younger crew.
Absolutely.
Right, linear park.
Should start thinking about grants for solar on that now.
So the linear park, our current status is Dan's got,
We're still in the reinstatement process. We're a long way forward than we were just a few months ago. There's a resolution on tonight for called the 30-day resolution that once the village is satisfied that all reimbursements have been submitted to us and all monies are taken care of. After that, within 30 days, the village will make all those 3 parcels municipal parkland. That's the one thing that our local liaison is looking for that. So we'll do the resolution tonight, assuming it will be passed. I'll get that out to her tomorrow. And the last few things are just a few minor, well, I will call it minor, I'll call it matters. And that's with legal department. That concerns mostly with the billboard.
we had given them until the end of October to move the planning. I will be discussing that with them tomorrow. Also, there's a meeting with Park Outdoors Museum tomorrow, and I'm gonna be sitting in on that. They have already called me. I have said, I have restated the village position that the sign needs to move. That there's no wiggle room on that. So they are clear on that.
Just with respect to changing the classification, again, I spoke with the town of Cortlandville last week at their board meeting, because the assessor of Cortlandville has to make the change, because those 3 parcels are in the village of Homer, but in the town of Cortlandville. And the town of Cortlandville did pass a resolution saying that they would do that. So that has to be made clear to our liaison in Parks, that yes, you're going to pass a resolution, but actually the town of Cortlandville will be directing the Cortlandville assessor to make the change from vacant commercial to municipal parkland at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Brad. And the dam removal project.
We now have an executed contract with DEC. All the studies and whatnot that Keystone was shepherding have all been concluded, and DEC has signed off on them. However, I will be requesting a time extension for this project due to the fact that the village is a applicant under DR 4418. I think so. That's a FEMA designation for the July 10th event that the village was hit with, or Cortland County as a whole, and pretty much all of central New York. When that happens, there are mitigation monies that come available. There's one that's 406, and that's for projects that are tied to the exact disaster. Then there's 404. That is projects that are not tied to disaster, but have something that the municipality wants to take care of and render safe. This is a render safe project. So I'm in discussion with FEMA and New York State regarding trying to get 404 funds, to get additional funds to help us take this project. Already talked to the states about us art shed and this dam project. They're amenable to another time extension, so I don't anticipate any issues at this time.
Very good. Dan.
This damn project. All right. New business, approved 2 Homer Fire Department application.
I make a motion that we accept the 2 fire department applications.
I read through them both really. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's great. Approved 2 Dell laptop quotes for the Homer Fire Department.
Again, it's something that they need to update, keep updated for their training and they use them. I make a motion that we approve the 2 Dell laptops quote for the fire department.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approve. Oh, the volunteer fire assistance Homer Fire Department grant application.
Let's just notify you about the match the village has. We'll have a part of this grant. It's not too much.
I'll approve the VFA HFP grant application.
I think the population in our fire district is higher than what he has, but it still falls below the 10,000, so I second Kevin's motion.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? All right. Approve the new copier.
Actually, I wanna ask Dan what he thinks about the big copier.
I cannot be more ecstatic.
Yeah, I
Maureen,
can't say that I like the old one either.
Maureen calls the one we have now Dan, and Dan is a bad employee within the village. And he needs to be removed immediately. So as soon as this can be put in place, the better.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been around and Dan's been using it. It wasn't pleasant.
I'll make a motion that we approve the village office copier quote.
I'll second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up, approve a resolution.
Resolution declaring 3 parcels of real property owned by the village of Homer as municipal parkland. Whereas the village of Homer Village applied for financial assistance from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, OPRHP, under the Title IX of the Environmental Protection Act of 1993 for the purpose of funding the Route 11 corridor acquisition of real property grant. And whereas said real property consists of tax parcels, parcel 1, 76.57-01-03.00, parcel 2, 76.57-01-04.00, and parcel 3, 76.57-01-06.00, 76.15-01.29.00, and whereas OPRHP, as a condition for grant reimbursement, requests that said real property be designated municipal parkland per Cortland County tax rules, and whereas the village will, upon notice that OPRHP has satisfied all reimbursement requests that has been or will be submitted per the master contract within 30 days, designate tax parcels, parcel 1, 76.57-01-03.00, parcel 2, 76.57-01-04.00, and parcel 3, 76.57-01-06.00, and 76.105-01.29.00 as municipal parkland per Cortland County tax rules. And now therefore it be resolved that the village board of the village of Homer will hereby designate within 30 days municipal parkland per Cortland County tax rules real property consisting of tax parcels, parcel 1, 76.57-01-03.00, parcel 2, 76.57-01-04.00, and parcel 3, 76.57-01-06.00, 76.105-01.29.00, upon notice and satisfaction of all village grant reimbursements. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Make a motion that we approve this resolution.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And right here, attorney, removes,
And we lost, Ed and everybody.
Nope, they're just
still
still,
on the computer.
Oh,
just on
okay.
TV.
Ed's just pretending to be a sphinx, so.
No, I'm here.
Let's see if he's got any comments.
Oh, comments.
I do, but I won't say them there.
Well, my comments are, I'm sorry that I'm gonna miss Elizabeth tomorrow at Rotary. And I think we're doing pretty good on our budgets. And yeah, I like the way the park is coming along and we're getting that done. I would like to know what's going on with the IDA on the 14 acres there. It's hard to get a dog park when you don't own the property. Over.
Pierce had only been here as the rec director for a few months when he decided to throw a Halloween parade and see what happened. And it was children and families show up. And it was supported by volunteers from the recreation department. It was a great success. So he's dreaming big. And this year is turning it into a Halloween festival / Oktoberfest that is supported by many local employees from the fire department, police department, and most importantly, volunteer to help see with all of the rec programming or all the failing programming at the Halloween Festival. So I hope the weather holds out and we'll have a successful parade followed by a party for families, for adults. Really, giving our village something to do at the end of October. So we're excited.
I would say,
Hope everybody comes.
all right, Kevin.
Just wanted to make everybody grateful. The info not good on it.
Okay.
I think everybody signed vouchers. So, they did their final offer, whatever you want. And it was very similar to last year, no huge changes. We did talk a little bit, so that Phil and, we also on the same page as far as watering and fertilizing, so that we overwater,
Right.
they were the best that they could be. I have pictures that I didn't bring with me with them. It's a thing called bubble gum. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's been reviewed.
All right.
It's different from this year. Including something.
That's exciting. All right.
So everything's going forward in this.
Fantastic.
I hope everybody will be happy with it in the community.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Matt.
26 October, hazardous waste turn-in at the county recycling center. 8 to 12, county residents only.
Get there early because there will be a line.
Yep. Just want to reinforce for the village residents on November during election that we're going to be voting on the length of service award program for the fire department. Just to let our residents know, we've already budgeted for this, so if it's passed, we can implement it immediately. If it doesn't, the funds will go back, be reabsorbed into the fire department. So we've had information in the Homer News, it's been on our website. I spoke to the town for any of our village residents to let them know also that this is not going to increase our fire taxes. It's all, we budgeted it appropriately. So I highly encourage a yes vote this. You know, it's a defined contribution. It has clear requirements for the firemen to earn points. And this is forward planning, especially in a time when we're seeing volunteer fire departments shrink. Ours continues to maintain steadiness and grow, and this is an incentive for that. And, you know, as we talk about, the training requirements for volunteer firefighters has increased drastically over the years, and it's getting tougher and tougher to maintain. These men and women put in a lot of hours, and this is the least we can do to help as an incentive for those that put in 20, 30, 40 years of service. So I highly encourage everybody to vote yes on that.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Attended the town board meeting. Doe tags are on hold until November 1st. There's an issue with that, so. And That is pretty much it. The town budget, proposed budget is out, and I am not smart enough to talk about that, so if anybody's interested, all right.
Did we have the arrival of the fire truck? Or what, I saw it on Facebook, the ladder truck? I could be mistaken.
Oh, no. We're not
Okay.
gonna- That's $2 million.
Yeah. You'll have to show me that one.
Maybe it was fiction.
I don't know, yeah, I don't
You'll
know.
have to show me that.
I will.
Show me that.
Yeah, no, to piggyback on what Pat said about the length of service award program. That's been, according to all we've heard, really getting people, the members to turn out for calls. Because there is a requirement of a percentage of calls that you must hit to do that. And it's also attracting new members. Our fire department has been adding members regularly now.
Yeah.
And growing, which is really phenomenal because the alternative is a paid fire department and a lot more taxes for people. So this is something, for residents, we can do this a lot cheaper than if we had to go paid, so we don't want that. All right. We do need to go into executive session per New York State. We'll talk to questions from the media. Yeah.
Yeah, actually one thing, when will the stop signs actually go up on Hooker Ave?
Well. The local law takes effect
Yeah.
once it's filed with the Secretary of State, right?
Probably a
Yep.
couple weeks.
Yeah,
Yep.
so once it's filed.
Few weeks.
That's it, okay. Kevin?
All set, thanks, Hal.
Really?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay, very good. All right. then we
Going
do-
into executive session, I guess, on a personnel issue.
Yes.
On that.
For New York State Public Officer Law, Article 7, Section 1.
You give it that, Elaine.
Oh, yes, I'll make that motion. The time is 7:02 PM.
All in favor?
Bye.
Yes, okay.